Good afternoon. Today we're going to learn to write linear equations in point-slope form rather than slope-intercept form. Just remember, slope-intercept form, the way we have been taught to write it so far, is written as y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. But we want to be able to write it easier without knowing a y-intercept. So we use what's this form called point-slope form, where we have a given point, x1, y1, and we have a slope. And if we have those three things, the point, which has an x and a y value, and the slope, we can easily write the equation in this form. And we know it works because when we plug in the x and y value, the left side will be 0 and the right side will be 0, which means it will be a true statement and we get a solution. Let's do an example. So let's say you want to write the equation of a line that has a slope of -3/4 and it passes through or goes through the point 5, 4. Okay, we can easily do this. Just remember that we want to treat this as my x1 value. This is my y1 value for my point. This is my m value. So I just write y minus, so I'm doing y minus my y value. What was my y value? The y value is 4, so I do y minus 4 equals, then I'm going to write my slope in. What was my slope? -3/4, -3/4. Then I do a parentheses, and I do x minus my x value of my point. My x value point was 5. And I've written my equation. And we know it works because if I plugged in a 5 minus 5 is 0. 0 times the slope will be 0. If I plug a 4 on this side, 4 minus 4 is 0, and 0 equals 0. It makes the equation true. So I know it goes through this point, and if I was to distribute in and add the 4 over, I could get it into slope-intercept form. If I wanted to, I could transform it back to slope-intercept form and know that it is a linear equation. But it is. Let's do another one. One of the biggest issues that students have is minus signs, because I want to emphasize that if you'll notice that we're always minusing off the y value and minusing off the x value from our point. So if those values were negative, these would end up becoming pluses, because when you minus a minus, it becomes plus. So let's do an example. I'm actually going to try to leave the formula up there. So here we go. I'm going to do, let's say I have a slope of, and I don't even care what the slope is, 5/13, and I go through the point -4, -7. Okay, well, again, I have my slope, my m value. I have my x1 value and my y1 value, so I'm just going to write y, that first y that doesn't have a little subscript by it, that's a variable, minus the y1, again, is repeat, is that this y value. Now I'm minusing a -7. So on your iExcel program, you might have to actually do that. It might look like a -7 equals my slope is 5/13, so I put 5/13, put parentheses, and then I do x minus, and again, it's a -4, so again, I have a -4. So you might actually end up typing it in like this into the iExcel program. If they include a minus, you'll understand what I mean when you go to do it. But if you can, you would want to try to simplify. Minus and minus means +7 equals 5/13 is my slope, parentheses, x minus and minus means +4. So that is actually the correct way to write it in point slope form. Y +7 equals 5/13 times x +4. And again, if I plugged in a -4 for x, -4 + 4 is 0. 0 times the slope means the right side of the equation 0. Plug a -7 into this y value. -7 + 7 is 0. We get 0 equals 0. It makes the equation true. Now, one last thing you might be asked to do is to actually write this equation, not giving the slope, but giving 2 points. And then it doesn't matter which point you use. For instance, let's say you go through the point -7, 8, and the point -12, 15. I don't care. I just threw out two random points. Well, the first thing we need to do is we have a point, right? But we don't have the slope. So we need to calculate the slope. Remember, slope is found by taking a second y value, minusing off the first y value, divided by the second x value minus the first x value. In other words, we're finding the difference between the y's, the difference between the x's, or the rise over the run. So again, 15 minus 8 over -12 minus a -7. Again, watch your minus signs. 15 minus 8 is 7 over -12 plus 7 would be -5. So I have a slope of -7/5. Now I can easily write the equation without even looking for the y-intercept by using point slope form. And I can use either of these. So let's use this first one. Let's do y minus, what's my y value? 8 equals, what was my slope? -7/5, parentheses, x minus, what was my x value for this point? A -7, so it's minus a minus, or ends up becoming +7. So there's the equation. If I had wanted, though, I could have used this one. In other words, I could have did y minus 15 equals, again, my slope is -7/5, parentheses, x minus, what was my x value for a y value of 15? Well, it was -12, so minus a minus 12 means I'm going to add 12. So I could write it like this either. Both of these equations are the exact same equations. I challenge you to get them into slope-intercept form and find out that, hey, if I do that, they both end up being exactly the same. So if you have any questions on how to write an equation in point slope, given a slope or 2 points or a point and a slope, bring those questions to class and I will help you then.